What up, world? It's your boy B, back with another episode, back with another video. You already know. So today, I want to speak on black men, and I want the conversation to be around how can we heal the black man. And for disclaimer, before I even start, this is my own experiences. This is of my own knowledge. So if you feel like that you don't want to hear this, or you feel offended by anything that I'm going to say, then you can get the fuck off my page. You don't have to listen to this video. I don't need your dissertation. I don't need your opinion on this. For the people who want to listen, and for the people who are willing to be open-minded about the conversation around black men and our healing and our trauma and our brokenness, then indulge. I definitely like different ideologies on things, but if it's your opinion to disrespect, to take away from us, then I don't need it. This is a healing process for black men so we can understand how to, number one, maneuver in this world, and number two, be able to heal the black family and to put the pieces back together to create a unity within our community. So I've realized a lot of black men are broken, and it starts from a very young age. It starts from when we are growing up and being in a household with our mothers and also with our fathers, and sometimes not having a father figure in the household creates that brokenness also. I can start with myself and my experiences on this. Number one, I've been able to analyze and sit within my shit, if you must say, to understand who I am to a certain extent. And I'm still healing in the process. I'm not completely healed, but I am willing to work with what I have to understand who I need to be. And by sitting in my shit, I realized at an early age that what started my whole journey of being broken was, it started with my sisters and brothers. And this is not to blame them or anything, because when we're that age, we're not understanding what we're doing. We're just doing things because this is what we've heard, this is what we've seen, this is what been force fed to us. And I remember at around 7 years old, I was crying because I couldn't get something that I wanted, or my feelings were hurt. I don't remember exactly, but I remember my brother, my older brother, and one of my sisters, my older sister, she and him was picking on me because I was crying. They was calling me a crybaby. And I felt embarrassed because of the fact of me crying, and they was picking on me. So at that point in time, I decided in my mind that I wasn't going to cry. And I didn't cry for a very long time. I think the next time I cried within that point in time, I think was 1999. Now, at 7 years old, I think that was 91. And I didn't cry until 99. That's when my grandmother, my great grandmother, passed away. And that broke me down because that was a part of the foundation of who I was to a certain extent. And by them picking on me, it kind of took away the vulnerability or the emotions of being able to express myself in an open and honest way. And not being able to express myself in an open and honest way, I was more about housing my pain instead of releasing it. And if anybody know anything about housing your pain, you sit with it and you hold on to it, and it can be destructive. It could be beneficial in certain instances, but most of the time it's destructive if you're housing your pain because you're eternalizing it. And when you eternalize your pain, you're only projecting that pain onto someone else. And I saw myself doing this on a constant basis. Well, not at that point in time, but when I reflect back on my life, I realized that I was doing this on a consistent basis. And I can go into detail about different situations that's happened in my life where I've realized that I was broken. From the point I was broken from the point of when I got cut from the football and basketball team. Uh, it was my eighth grade year at Douglasburg Middle School. I went out for a wide receiver. I wasn't a tall kid. I was very short, but I was very fast, and I enjoy and I love football. And I remember getting cut from the football team, and I remember my sisters and brothers picking on me about that also. And when I realized, like, your family is sometimes the first people to create a insecurity within yourself because, and like I said earlier, it's not that they mean to. It's just as humans, we tend to be a certain way, or we tend to look at things a certain way. And in my family, a lot of the people in my family was athletic. I had my cousins that was basketball players. My sister was a basketball player. So when I got cut, it was like it was like it was an accomplishment. Like it felt like I wasn't as good as them. I was a smart kid, very smart kid. I did great in school, but athletic wise, I thought I was athletic. I thought I had skills, and I believe I had skills. I didn't. I wasn't as disciplined or as focused in those games as I should have been. I wasn't as dedicated as I should have been. However, I still went out for it. I wasn't afraid to go out for it because I thought I knew I was pretty good. I wasn't the best, but I knew I was pretty good. I knew the fundamentals. I didn't have the structure of playing on a basketball team. I played outside on basketball and football, and I played with my friends, but it wasn't a structured setting. I didn't play recreation football or school football and basketball at a young age, so I didn't have that like I said, structure and a foundation to that extent. I had the fundamentals of how to dribble, how to shoot, how to do a layup, and I did these and created these things on my own. So when I got cut from football, it devastated me. It hurt me, and I blamed my father for it for a long time. I blamed him for it because he wasn't there to practice with me, to throw the football with him because he was working. I understand that now, at this point in time in my life, at my age, that he had to work and he had to provide for the family, so he didn't have the time to be able to do that. But looking back when I was younger, I was upset at him because I felt like he didn't help me get to where I need to be. And that was just an excuse within myself to blame him for me not stepping up to the plate and doing more. And yes, along the lines, he could have been there and he should have been there to a certain extent before that. However, he wasn't. And the basketball team, I really thought I was going to make that. This was ninth grade year. I was at Hoke High School, and all my I can't even say my friends because I had just come from Douglasburg and going into Hoke High School. It was kids that I went to elementary school with. However, middle school I didn't go to the same school as them. So when I went back, it was more of a different setting. I didn't really I can't say I didn't know them. I wasn't around them enough, so that rapport that we had in elementary school had kind of diminished to a certain extent. So I tried out for the basketball team there. This was like, I can say honestly, there were probably about 80 to 100 boys tried out for the basketball team. And I got cut, first cut or whatever, and it was hurtful. It was hurtful because, like I said, my family and my things like that, they were athletic. They were very competitive. It was around sports, like everything was around sports and things like that. And for me to get cut, it kind of hurt me because again, I got picked on from my sister and brothers, and I mean on a constant basis. This was even after the fact of me getting cut. Um, Long after they would still pick on me. And to get back to the subject, I know it seemed like I'm deviating from the subject, but to get back to the subject of understanding how we need to heal the trauma is sometimes we have to go back into our trauma, into those situations where it started at. We got to go back to the root. A lot of times we don't go back to the root of the problem because we're scared to go so deep that we don't want to feel the pain. But what I'm understanding in life is you have to go through a certain amount of suffering to be able to get to that plateau of where you want to be successful, or where you want to be spiritually inclined, or whatever it may be for you. You have to go through that suffering. We can go with a lot of different analogies of people going through suffering. A lot of people may relate to the Bible, and if you understand the Bible, you understand Jesus Christ went through suffering by dying on the cross. He had to go through that suffering at a point so he can somewhat free the people of sin. And I'm not a religious person, so I don't really do the doctrine of the Bible. But however, to understand that is to understand he had to go through suffering to be able to free the people of their sins, or to cleanse the world of its sin, or whatever you want to call it. But the point I'm trying to make is we have to suffer. A lot of times we try to avoid the suffering because it's uncomfortable, and because it's new. It doesn't feel good. But understanding that through the suffering is where you learn and you grow. You start to understand that it's not trying to create suffering in your life, it's understanding the things that you already went through, being able to recognize those things, and being able to move forward within those things to be able to teach someone else that they don't have to go through those same things that you went through. And that's understanding the trauma of Black men. Because in our community, we have been force fed so many different ideologies and lies that we start to believe them to be true. And we start to believe them to be true only because our first knowledge is from our oppressor. And I say that to say, because all the information that we have gathered, all the knowledge that we have gained uh, within ourselves and within our community has been passed down from us, from our oppressor, back from slavery times. How we should think, what the definition of words are, how we should view ourselves, and how we should view our history, and the pictures and the books that they have given us have only been from their standard of what they want us to learn. And understanding that is understanding that they have given us our ideology of what a Black woman should be, and the picture of a Black woman, the definition of what Black should be, of a Black man. They've given us the definitions from social media, or we can go further back. We can go back to slavery times. They've given us the ideology of what Black men look like in society. Their own definition of what it looks like from the news, or from newspapers, or from their own philosophers who gave their own definition of what Black's supposed to be. We can go with a subject like homosexuality, the demasculating of the Black man. And we can disagree or to agree on it, but our first ideology of what we is to believe the Black man should look like, or what homosexuality is from our oppressor. If we go look back at ancient Greek statues, and we can see that in these ancient Greek statues where these supposedly men and had little boys and had their private parts in these little boys' faces, you could tell that it was already somewhat pedophiles and a little homosexuality going on at that point in time. And it was just brought within our community. Back in African culture, there wasn't things that was indulged in being with little kids and understanding men on men. And I'm not saying to a certain extent that it didn't happen. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is from my knowledge, we wasn't prevalent on that. That wasn't important. It was important on the family foundation. It was important on understanding how to create a unity within the community. And when we look at it, we look at the understanding that our oppressors gave us this information and told us what this looked like. Even in today's society, when we look at the LGBT community, and it's not to say anything bad about them, but you have to understand that the information that we have received and the acceptance of it has been from which community. And when we look at it in that way, we start to understand that it's been pushed upon us, not just homosexuality, um, the degrading of black men, the definition of what black men look like, how we receive black men in our community, what vulnerability look like, what marriage look like, what uh, success look like. Like it's all been force fed upon us through the media, through the uh, newspapers, through social media, and through the internet of how we should define ourselves instead of giving ourselves a definition and creating a culture around what we believe to be true for us. The problem with this is most people is going to argue about this situation. They're only going to argue about it to the extent that it makes them uncomfortable to have to look at the truth behind our oppressor and our oppressor agenda within the black community. Because their agenda has never been to create a foundation for the black man or black woman for us to be in a position to take care of ourselves, to heal ourselves, to grow a community. Because we can go back in the family structure of once supposedly slavery stopped back in the 1865. And when we go back in that time, we can understand when black people were starting to flourish and start to build their own communities. Every time that we started building our own communities, it was destroyed in the process because of the jealousy and the envy and the unity that we was having in our community, that they wanted to come in and infiltrate our systems and our culture to create a distraction and to create a uneasiness within our community that disrupted our energy. And this has been going on for so many years that we suppress it and we don't even think about it and we don't even try to understand it, because by having to look at it and having to create a new ideal and a new ideology around it, it's uncomfortable. And like I said earlier, you have to sometimes go through that pain of being uncomfortable and being in that position of what it looks like and what it really is. And I put a quote up recently that just because people are doing it doesn't make it right. Just because it's normal or we normalized it doesn't make it right. We have confused those two things together and we have become so um so I don't know the word I want to use. We become so indoctrinated in their ideology of things that we have forgotten who we are. We have truly forgotten what the black family looks like. We've forgotten what the black man and the black woman looks like as a unit. We have been pushed to believe that our agenda is not as important as their agenda. And that what we're fighting for, we only can fight for it within their paradigms of things. And I'm not on that no more. I'm not on the fact of trying to fit in with their ideology and their opinion on things, because their ideology and their opinion on things haven't got us nowhere, but we're in the same position that we're in right now, which is begging them for things that as a human being we should already have. We can go with this whole protesting and things like that, this whole protesting and asking for them for justice within our community. We're asking someone who doesn't even see any wrong in what they're doing for justice. Like, think about that. We're asking a system who doesn't see, have never seen anything wrong in what they have done for the last 200, 300, 400 years, wherever you want to, however you want to start, or wherever you want to start, they haven't believed it to be wrong. They feel like it's justified because they don't believe us to be human or to be a superior culture. So when you look at it in that way, you start to understand that we're never going to be accepted. And that's where the healing starts. The healing starts is we don't need to be accepted in somebody else to be who we are. We create our own, or we infiltrate their system to understand how do we get the upper hand on these situations so we can have a better future for our youth. Because if this keep going on the way we are, we're only going to be more distracted. We can go with technology and the understanding of technology. A lot of times technology is it can be played in two parts. It can be played as a distraction, which is entertainment, or it can be played as educational. And a lot of times we're on the opposite side of it. We use it as entertainment instead of as knowledge base, so we can create a foundation that can help us grow within our community and within our family structure to be able to benefit us in the future. Like technology at this point in time has grown to 1,000%, where most people needs a phone or a computer at this point in time. Not most people, everybody needs a phone and computer at this point in time to be able to use it to access anything. And with the pandemic that is going on right now, even schools are being used at this point in time where the kids are not in the school structure right now. So with them not being in the school structure, they need computers to be able to do their work. And I can say for my own kids, and I have a lot of times I'm trying to get them to understand that the phone is not just for entertainment always. There's so much information in our phone that we can learn and we can grow from, and that we can provide for ourselves for the future, that we can be much further than what we are. But a lot of times we get on social media and we play these games and we watch these shows on our computer and television and our phone, that we don't even try to research things that may contradict with the reality of it. For instance, like I was saying with technology has advanced so much that understanding coding at this point in time is very prevalent for a lot of the youth, because once technology gets to the point where everything is going to be technological, they're going to need that. And this is sometimes the of trying to balance of wanting your kids to have technology, but at the same time not understanding that they're not mature enough to understand the consequences that come with it, the distraction that's come with it. And that healing and that understanding has to come to a 360 because it all ties into the same thing. And we might not see that it ties into the same thing. And it might seem like I'm jumping off subject, but it ties into the same thing because where our healing starts is understanding at what point in time did we start to open our eyes to the fact that they was only trying to use one thing to degress us and not progress us. Like, think about the fact that growing up, I could say for myself, growing up, a lot of kids could have been very smart, and a lot of kids were. There was a lot of smart people growing up in the 80s and the 90s, and these young black men, and they was very educated. They mentally understood a lot of different things, but we dumbed ourselves down because in our culture, and it was pushed up on us that being smart was a bad thing. So we started making bad grades, and not to say I did, because I can't say I took on the ideology, but I know a lot of kids that did take on the ideology of, because bad grades made you, I mean, good grades and being smart was not, it was synonymous to being a nerd. It wasn't a good thing. Like, think about that. Like, that's crazy to think that to be dumb was cool. To not educate yourself and to not know, and I'm not even talking about book smarts. I'm just talking about smarts overall. Understanding the knowledge and understanding how to progress in life. Like, it was a bad thing. Like kids started failing because they was picked on for being smart. And like today, being nerdy and being geeky and being smart and having information is the new cool. So if at that point in time we knew that, and if somebody told us that it's okay to be smart, it's okay to educate yourself, and it's okay to have knowledge of self and understanding of the world around you, how much further we would have been. And this is what I say, we have to stop following our oppressor ideology and understanding of what is right for black, because they're never going to give what's right and exact for black, because the unity in our community, I like that saying though, I like that sounds definitely cool. The unity in our community comes with each one teach one, and if each one teach one, we reach another, man. And we understand that we have to be the most important thing for ourselves and for our community. We can't let somebody else tell us or to describe to us or to show us what is and what isn't, because what may be for them is not for us. And we have to understand, like, it's okay to know that we are all humans. Yes, we all are humans. There's only one race, and there's the human race. But we got to understand at the same time that everybody don't move in the same direction and in the same way. Everybody's not built the same. And the nutritional value, the black person and the European person can't eat the same things because our body is affected in two different ways. Being in the sun, we're affected in two different ways. So we have to understand that the information that we gather can't be the information that they provide for us. We have to do the research, and we have to understand within ourselves what it takes to heal ourselves. What does it take to understand what the black child needs? Because we're not going to get it in the education system that they have given us. And we know that for many of years. That's why a lot of our kids not focusing in school. And that's why a lot of times they're giving us these medicines for ADHD. It's not that our kids can't stay still or they get distracted and they need to run around. It's just that the information that's given to them isn't resonating with them. It's making their whole energy feel uncomfortable because they know that it's not the truth within them. But we force this on our kids, and we tell them that they need to make good grades, and if they're not making good grades, we punish them for it. not understanding that this is not who they are. This is not knowledge based on who they are as a culture and as a person. We have to find a different way to be able to teach our kids and make our kids understand instead of forcing them in a system that is not working for them, but is working against them. Think about the pipeline to prison program. It's to force our kids to be in the prison system because at the end of the day, they're not giving them the proper tools needed to live in this society. But they're pushing them further down the rabbit hole so they can go into the prison system, so they can work for free labor and cheap labor, so they can keep building up this world, which they don't believe we provided anything for. But however, we've provided everything for and given our blood, sweat, and tears for, and built up this society and built up these communities the way they are. But they tell us that we haven't done nothing, that we're lazy. And think about that psychological manipulation that they're force feeding us and that we start to believe. We have to start to unlearn the conditioning that they have force fed us and start understanding that we have to create our own. We have to create our own ideologies, our own words, our own definition of what black means to us. And we don't have to agree on every subject. But as long as we can come to a solution where we can move forward and agree to disagree, that's at least a step. Because I'm not gonna look at everything the same way someone else look at it, and that should be okay. It shouldn't be where you mad at me and you don't want to talk to me and you can't fuck with me because I don't look at things the same way you do. Because by me not looking at the same things you do, if I did, like, think about our society at this point in time. Everybody looks the same. Everybody want to rock Jordans. I'm not saying everybody in that term. Most people rocking Jordans. Most people have the same car. Most people want to live in the same community. Most people want to do the same exact things. Most people even want to learn the same exact things, but it becomes robotic. It becomes so robotic that everybody just, it's like everybody's the same. You can't tell who from who. It's like regurgitated information. It's like they learn from the same person. It's not them opening their mind to something different. It's like a Christian person who only quotes the Bible every time that they want to get in an argument with something and quote scripture of the Bible. Like, what is that? Because that can be deflected and that can be rejected and that can be proven to be not right at the same time. So you can't make that in an argument. Because sometimes by reading the Bible, sometimes the Bible contradicts itself. And we're not even going to get onto the religious thing because that's another subject that within our community we need to understand that comes with healing also, because in the black church, we don't get no healing. With all the money that is spent within the black church, there should be some type of organization within that foundation where there should be some type of understanding of there are people within that structure that knows trauma, that might be a counselor or a therapist. So why aren't people within that foundation getting that help? There should be someone within that foundation that understands finances. Why aren't people understanding that and getting help within there? There should be people within that foundation, that structure that understand nutrition. Why are people not getting that? And that's another subject that we have to understand, because we're putting in money into a community and a structure that should provide us with something. We should get what is necessary. Understanding the spirituality part, that's great and that's dandy, but that is not the only thing that we need in this physical realm. Being able to pay for a person to go to school to understand therapy and them to bring it back into that church structure and teach people how to heal themselves, that's a different type of church structure. That's a different type of feeling. being able to send them to a school or classes or courses to understand finances, and bringing that back and being able to teach the people within that church structure how to be financially free and how to understand finances and how to provide generational wealth for their children, that's a different type of structure. By sending someone to understand nutrition and giving them the tools that's needed to understand nutrition, and being able to teach people how to eat healthy, how to heal themselves, because a lot of times, a lot of people within that structure is their body is written with disease, and they're in pain, and they're sick, and they're slowly withering away and only waiting for the afterlife, when not enjoying the life within that's right now. But if we understood how to heal ourselves within our community and being able to teach that within that structure, then how much more powerful would that be? How much more unity would that be? You understand? So we have to start understanding within our community, because by healing and understanding the whole of the community and understanding the black man, and this is not to not understand the black woman, because the black woman has her own healing and understanding. And I can't speak upon that in depth, because all I can speak up on is the experiences as a black man or what I've been through. I can't tell you about a black woman because I haven't lived as a black woman, and theirs go much deeper. But yeah, I can't teach them how to be a black woman. I can only talk about it in the reference of understanding a black man. And I hope somebody got some jewels from it. I hope somebody understood it. And if you didn't understand it and you didn't get anything from it, I apologize for it. Hopefully you can find what you need in the process of your healing, and hopefully you can understand what it is to be a black man. But I'm going to sign off with this. Cash constantly achieving successful habits every day. You heard?